and Bank, a division of Harleysville National Bank. It's a great place to bank. This is a 69 News special report.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Rob Vaughn. We are interrupting our regular programming for just a couple of minutes to update you on a major accident on Interstate 78 in northern Berks County tonight. It's an accident that shut down the highway since late this afternoon, and westbound lanes in part of northern Berks County are still closed, we're told. As many as 20 cars and trucks were involved in what was apparently a chain reaction pileup. Now, WFMZ's Dwayne Parker has been at the scene all evening, and he's joining us once again live on the phone. Dwayne, what can you tell us?
Good evening, Rob. Fire officials are reporting that a tractor-trailer jackknifed on 78, and due to the weather, that caused a severe pileup, roughly about 15 cars piling up one after the other. Now, officials say 8 people were transported to local hospitals with minor injuries. Right now, we are at the Union Fire Company field house in Hamburg, where they have received approximately 38 people who were also involved in this pileup, but these are basically triage patients. They all have minor cuts, very minor injuries. One thing they are asking for here, officials are asking for donations such as car seats and help in securing local hotel rooms for people who are from out of town and involved in this pileup. But we'll have more information on this, on how you can possibly donate on a later newscast. Rob?
Yeah, Dwayne, of course, this is reminiscent of the Valentine's Day massacre, as some have called it, from 2007, when, of course, it was a much grander scale than this, and hundreds of people were trapped out there. I guess, were some people thinking back to that as they were there at the field house tonight, or I wonder if officials have compared how the response was this time to the response 2 years ago?
Well, actually, I spoke with fire officials out at the scene, and they tell me that this the weather conditions are different from that time 2 years ago on Valentine's Day, and it's not exactly the same type of accident. But basically, they're saying that they were better prepared, however, to handle this type of incident. They had many more people on the scene ready to go, ready to assist in any way, shape they could. So they were definitely saying that they were better prepared this time than 2 years ago on Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Rob?
And I heard, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, that some people had to be taken by rescuers from their cars, and their cars left on the highway. Is that the case? And do you know whether PennDOT's getting those cars off the highway now?
Well, right now, PennDOT is, officials are removing cars from the highway as we speak, but we did actually speak with a truck driver who's been a truck driver for over 15 years, and when he arrived to the scene, he was one of the first people on the scene, and he actually helped rescue a mother and several infants from a car in this pileup. So it was definitely a hectic commute for everybody involved. Rob?
All right, Dwayne Parker reporting. Dwayne, thanks so much, and we will talk to you again in a little bit, perhaps 9 o'clock, I guess, and certainly at 10 o'clock and 10:30 we'll have full reports on what's happening. So to recap for you, a major accident late this afternoon on I-78 in the westbound lanes. A 17-mile stretch of the highway has been closed for quite a few hours now between exits 23 and 40 in Berks County. Again, that's going west. The eastbound lanes, or at least one lane, I understand, is open on I-78. People were stuck out there for quite a while, but as Dwayne just reported, some of them have been taken to get help. 8 to the hospital, I think he said, and 38 all told went to the field house there in Hamburg to have some minor injuries looked at. The Hamburg Union Fire Company, that's where they set up a command post, and they took in some of these people. There are some people who are in need, apparently, of car seats, Dwayne said, and arrangements need to be made for hotel rooms for some, because obviously people who are traveling the interstate are not necessarily local, but are passing through, and they got stuck in this. Back in 2007, as you know, was the Valentine's Day tie-up, and what a massive ordeal this was. It paralyzed the highway for many miles. And so we don't want to make too much of a stretch to compare what's happened tonight to that, because that was an affair, of course, as you know, that lasted a couple of days and involved hundreds of people being stranded. And it was a disaster for the state of Pennsylvania. And as Dwayne reported, the fire officials say that the response has been improved since 2007. And officials he spoke to tonight said the response has gone pretty well. People were removed from the highway. after there was a backup today. But it is something that brings this to mind, of course, because there were an untold number of cars in that 17-mile stretch of I-78 West that were stuck for a few hours this afternoon before people could get to, the rescuers could get to the folks in those cars. And our understanding is, just as you see here in this video from 2 years ago, that there were people who had to get out and get off the highway, and now officials are having to get out there to cars that were left empty and move those cars off the highway, and Dwayne says that's even happening. We've returned now to pictures of what happened today. These are some still shots, obviously, from our crew and from others from I-78 West a little while ago. This is now 8 o'clock, perhaps a couple of hours ago. This is what it looked like with the big backup out there. A tractor-trailer jackknife, evidently, was what started the whole thing, and as Dwayne said, about 15 vehicles, all told, came together, crashed, and there were some injuries. And as I mentioned, some of those people have been taken to hospitals, and a couple of dozen, maybe 3 dozen people, Dwayne said, at the firehouse with some minor injuries. But things are still tied up on I-78. You don't want to get on I-78 West, heading west from the Allentown area into Berks County. The Berks Communication Center, it tells us that that stretch is still closed. It's between exits 23 and 40 in Berks County. We do understand that eastbound you can get through on I-78. Officials do expect to have the westbound lanes open tonight. They're working on that. It's just that at last check, it sounds like things are still tied up. So I would advise you to not go out in that direction. Now, a number of people were affected by this, of course, people who were trapped in their cars for a time. And I'm joined now by Chris Sawicki, a driver who got caught up in the mess. And Chris, you got stuck for a few hours, it sounds like, huh?
Yeah, I was stuck for about 4 hours.
Where are you from, Chris, and where were you heading?
I'm actually from Hamburg. I was headed home. I was about 2.9 miles from the exit.
Almost home, and then what happened? You ran into a big pileup? You were not actually in a crash, were you?
No, I wasn't in the crash. Actually, we came to a stop, and when we came to a stop, like, nobody moved, and I pretty much sat there for 4 hours. So I watched all the cars go the opposite direction on 78.
You don't have any idea how far ahead of you the crash had happened, do you?
I believe my GPS said it was about 2.6 miles.
Okay. And then you were stuck for a while along with a lot of other cars, and then what did you end up doing?
At first I just sat there, and then everybody came out, and everybody was talking to each other. I spoke to a gentleman that was in a work truck that sat about as long as me, and he didn't have no heat or anything in his truck.
Did some of you then leave the highway? Is that what I'm told? On your own, you took it upon yourself to try to get off?
Yeah, we, a lot of the tractor trailers were blocking us in and would not move for us. I know they had about 4 to 5 car lengths ahead of them. So we had to pretty much do what we could to turn around and go the opposite direction on 78, so going the wrong way.
Okay, so you headed east then in the westbound lanes, but there were cars behind you, I assume. How did you accomplish that, running down the shoulder?
Basically what we did is if somebody was nice enough to let you go, we would have cars like back up, and we would try to do like a K-turn to get out. Some people are still stuck there, though.
Okay, to your knowledge, there are still people out on the highway?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we weren't sure how many who were involved, number one, and then number two, how many of them were removed from the highway. But do you think it's a lot of cars who were still out there?
Well, I can guarantee you there's a lot of tractor trailers still there. There were quite a few cars that I guess just didn't want to go the wrong way.
Yeah, so eventually did you make your way to an exit and get off?
Yes, actually I got off at the Lenhartsville exit. They had a state police officer and PennDOT there letting you off there. And then they had people guiding you all through detours.
And did you make it home? Are you home now?
Actually, I did make it home. I'm, believe it or not, on my way out again.
Yeah, I understand that you had some involvement with the Valentine's Day backups of 2007. Is that right? Yes,
on Route 61.
You were stuck then, too. How long?
I was stuck on Route 61 for probably about 5 hours.
And how many hours did you say you were out there today? 4?
I was out there for 4. A lady, I guess, spoke with one of the emergency workers, and they said it was going to be about 10 hours, so I decided to turn around.
Is that right? That's what they told you, 10 hours?
Yes.
Meaning since the crash happened at 3-something this afternoon?
I believe so. Yeah. Some lady walked all the way up and came back and was telling all of us it was going to be about 10 hours.
All right. Well, we're glad you made it out safely. Hopefully the rest will make it off the highway before too long. Chris, thanks very much. Thank you for speaking with us tonight.
Yep.
All right. Well, there's a first-hand account of what's been going on I-78. A man from Hamburg who was stuck out there for 4 hours has been told, this is not official to my knowledge, that it could be many more hours, and he says there are many people still stuck on I-78 West. On the other hand, we had been told by officials that they thought that they would be able to get the westbound lanes open before too long. At last check, to repeat myself, I-78 West is still closed, according to the Berks Comm Center, between exits 23 and 40. So again, you don't want to head out in that direction of Berks County from the Allentown area. Apparently people are still stuck out there. Well, we'll have full coverage coming up. We'll try to have an update for you at 9 o'clock, and then, of course, a full report at 10 and 10:30 tonight. And one thing you'll want to do, of course, is to do, as I do every few minutes, go to WFMZ.com and see what information has been posted there. It'll keep you up to date minute by minute there at WFMZ.com. That's our special report on the travail on I-78 West tonight. More coming up, as I said, next hour. See you then.
To $50,000. Believe me, I learned
5 and 10, right here on 69 WFMZ TV.
Hello there and welcome to
This is a 69 News special report.
And thank you for joining us once again for the special report on the troubles on I-78. I'm Rob Vaughn. As we told you at 8 o'clock, I-78 West has been closed for several hours in Berks County, a 17-mile stretch of it from the Route 737 exit 40 at Kutztown west all the way to exit 23 at Charlottesville. It's been closed since about 3 this afternoon. Here's some shots from a couple of hours ago on I-78 West. There were a number of crashes this afternoon when it got snowy, including one chain reaction crash that involved about 15 vehicles. We're told a number of people, we don't know how many yet, sat on I-78 for hours, and some may still be out there, but it does look like traffic is beginning to move. WFMZ's Dwayne Parker is joining me on the phone once again. He's been out there all evening. Dwayne, you have an update for us?
Good evening, Rob. Right now, I am standing at 78 at the overpass of 5th Street, and it looks like eastbound is still moving at a snail's pace, but westbound has begun to move. We were able also to speak with state police. They are confirming that there was an original car accident involving 5 cars. Afterwards, a tractor-trailer that was coming up from the rear tried to brake and winded up jackknifing, and that winded up shutting down the westbound side of 78. Officials also confirmed that 8 people were transported by ambulance to local hospitals with minor injuries, only minor injuries. And at the Union Fire Company field house in Hamburg, they have received 38 people, basically triage patients, all with minor and bruises. Now, a few minutes ago, we were saying that they were asking for donations, car seats, hotel rooms. They do not need any more donations. They received enough car seats from the state police, and they received enough hotel rooms for the people who are from out of town. Rob?
All right, good news in many respects. And it sounds like traffic is starting to move westbound. So starting to, yeah. This could be still quite a long go for some people. And I don't know if you, as we look at a live picture here, we do have that, Dwayne, as the trucks are crawling along there. Maybe you talked to people at the field house who described the ordeal. Did some of them have some harrowing experiences? Because they were out there in the cold for quite a few hours.
Well, actually, we spoke with a truck driver. He's been a trucker for 15 years, and he was one of the first people on the scene, and he immediately jumped out of his truck, and he pulled to safety a mother with 4 young children. We actually interviewed her. We may have this interview coming up later today, but later tonight, actually. He jumped out immediately and ran to rescue this family with the 4 young children. Rob?
All right. Thank you very much, Dwayne. We'll let you work on your story for 10 o'clock, and no doubt there are many more stories from this evening that people will be telling as they eventually get home from this ordeal on I-78. It does look like traffic's beginning to move. The highway's been closed for a number of hours between exit 40 to exit 23 westbound, all through northern Berks County, from the exit that goes to Kutztown all the way out to Charlottesville. But again, things are starting to move there. Obviously, if the highway is indeed open there, and I think we're waiting for some confirmation on that it's actually open once again in that area. But even if it is, wisdom would dictate that you not head out in that area for some time. It looks like it'll be a slow go to get all those cars off the highway westbound, and things are not moving very quickly in that area eastbound either, as you can imagine. We'll have much more on this coming up at 10 o'clock and 10:30 as well. I'm Rob Vaughn. I will see you at 10.